Hey guys, and welcome to a battle featuring the legendary Consul of Rome, leading an Alith Anar-led High Elf forces up against Alfredino and his Empire with Karl Franz at the helm. Two legendary characters from lore. We'll have to see how they do duke it out here today. So for the force of the High Elves, we look like we have a pretty nice themed build with double Shadow Warriors in the front lines. Are going to be escorting Alith Anar himself, who is a glorious character here. Not the most competitive of picks, but he certainly has some pretty decent matchups. Can assassinate enemy casters and heroes with deadly efficiency, and was also quite good in the artillery duel. Looks like he has brought the Moonbow as well as Mislead, one of my favourite abilities, where he does indeed pop down a decoy. I quite like popping this decoy down in front of your own army and sending it into combat to bog down enemy troops. He's also brought in Slippery, the Shadow Crown, as well as Darken the Skies, a very badass named item. For the rest of his build, in the main battle line, it looks like we do have Spearmen, cheerfully cheap lads. They'll be able to hold the line, soak up some damage, and allow these Rangers in the secondary line to push forward and saturate on top of them, dealing the real damage. Looks like we do have doubled War Lines of Trace as well, who look fantastic. I wish we saw them a little bit more. They actually have some great utility with decent armor piercing all round, anti-infantry, and they're incredibly fast. So you can even use them as a backline harass tool. We also have some silver helms to help protect the back line, and one unit of Sisters of Avalon. Looks like on the left-hand side we do have a noble on a mighty steed. He's going to be their anti-large tool today. And we also have a Mage of Fire coming with Fireball and Burning Head. Probably the most two competitive spells from the lore. Or from the lore of magic, I suppose. Now, for the forces of the Empire, as previously stated, we do have Karl Franz up in the sky. Looks like he's already taken a couple of moonbow shots. In the back lines, we have the Sunmaker, Regiment of Renowned Hellstorm Rocket Battery. Is actually really good in this matchup due to how tightly compact the High Elf forces are. Looks like some Spearmen sit on top of it as well for a bit of protection. We do have a Jade Wizard coming with Regrowth and Earthblood, which you'll see very often as Karl Franz is brought. He's got a decent amount of health, and you want to keep him active as he's a little bit of a glass hammer, so the healing certainly helps there. Now for the main battle line, we actually have Swordsmen mixing with the ROR version as well, the Unbreakable Sigma Suns, and a couple of units of Spearmen as well on either flank to help push away cavalry. And the Swordsmen, pretty decent pick. They'll be able to chew through a High Elf Spearmen a lot quicker than kind of the wet noodle contest, which would be Spearmen on Spearmen. We have Empire Knights in reserve here. Looks like 2 units as well as a corps of Outriders. Looks like these are the basic guys. No grenade launchers. I would have loved to see the grenade launchers here. I think they would absolutely decimate High Elf infantry. And looks like we have silver bullets as well in the centre pocket. Of course, they are hidden because they do have Stalk, which can make them pretty useful in trapping and pinning in the enemy. So without further ado, let's get this battle underway. Looks like Alith Anar is getting a little bit closer now. Probably going to try to focus down at the Sunmaker is my guess here. And the Mage of Fire is pushing forward as well, but it's getting a little bit scary close here as the Outriders do manage to put forward. She does indeed get a miscast as well. But the Moonbow is launched up and over, and it looks like it is going to smash into the Hellstorm rocket batteries, killing one of the models. So that's some pretty good work there. The Mage did manage to escape with her life, although taking a decent amount of damage there. Shadow Warriors have popped up as well for some early game skirmish, forcing the Empire Knights back, and it looks like the Empire straight away here, good play, is going to take the initiative and decide to push forward. See the Sunmaker decimated Spearmen with just one volley, but knowing that it's at quite a lot of risk because of Alith Anar, he's going to have to push forward and try and push back all these kind of units which can pressure the Hellstorm rocket battery. But in comes a Fireball. The Mage is determined to take this thing offline. The Sunmaker crew does get off the artillery piece, but a little bit too late there. And if you're on the piece when the shot is fired, it's still going to connect with it. And it looks like 2 of the rocket batteries are down straight out of the gate. So lovely early pick here coming in by the defenders of Ulf 1. Looks like the Outriders have been forced back. Shadow Warriors pretty good counter to them, to be honest. They'll be able to drive these horsemen back. They're dropping in number as well as leadership, but now they're surrounded by friends. They should be able to come back into the main battle line. You see the High Elves have retreated a little bit further back, up a nice hill as well, trying to make Obi-Wan proud and get the high ground. You see war lines on each flank are starting to pressure. Could be nice as well to hop back on to the Sunmaker. Does that have all 3 pieces left, it says, for some reason? No, 2 of them are definitely down. For some reason on the tooltip it says that all 3 are active. Looks like we do have another fireball going down, but this time it's focusing down at the Jade Wizard, who's doing a good job juking left and right, trying to protect himself from Alith and Anar, although it looks like he's clobbered a few shots already, and that fireball as well does do some nice burning damage on the way by. Looks like we are going to be seeing everyone trying to push up towards this hill. First Decoy is down as well. Alith and Anar pushing forward into the swordsman. Fantastic use. Is going to bog down this unit and slow them down. Although it looks like the Empire might have realised what's going on here, the trickery, and is actually just going to push through, as Alith and Anar actually had an attack animation that kind of dragged him through enemy lines. Sisters of Avalon have opened up on the Sigma Suns here. Pretty good target, going to do some decent damage, and they're quite a high threat to this build. I'd like to see these Silver Helms as well pushing forwards and kind of running over swordsmen where possible. On the right hand side, we do have war lines of chase over, popped all the way around the side, looking to jump on top of the Sunmaker, no doubt, but currently taking a bit of pressure from the Outriders. Looks like on the other flank they've actually kept them back. And you see the swordsman here, we're kind of getting bogged up once again on Alith and Anar. It's kind of hard, you have to keep clicking past them. But it looks like Sigma Suns are going to be pushing into the Shadow Warriors here, once again forcing them outwards. The rest of the Empire forces certainly need to get moving. They want to attack in one bundle rather than in drips and drabs. Karl Franz going for that Mage of Life assassination, but at the same time needs to be careful. Sisters of Avalon are here and at full firing capacity, so they're going to be doing some decent damage. But he does pop the Reichland Rune Fang as well as stand your ground, and he's going toe-to-toe with this Noble right now, and the Noble is certainly not coming out on top. War lines do pop in here as well, though, to try and protect their mighty hero. And it looks like Karl Franz is going to get the message and float up into the skies, dodging a fireball with really good kind of acrobatic skills there. Empire Knights considering charging into Spearmen before pulling back, looking for better targets. And in this sense, you can see the war lines are going to pop on top of the Sunmaker, which hasn't been really active, hasn't been moving forward, so it's only up to 46 kills, but still a nice barrage at the start of the game. Sisters once again pouring in the damage to Karl Franz, but they really need to get rid of this Jade Wizard, otherwise Franz is simply going to float back here and get a fat regrowth on him. These war lines could actually probably be better served bouncing over to the Wizard and try to finish him off as quickly as possible. In the back lines, Shadow Warriors are falling back from Spearmen as we see yet another fireball come after the Franz. This one does arc dangerously close, but Deathclaw being agile as always and darting underneath that one. Sisters have been overrun in the back lines by Spearmen, but it looks like Rangers are here to support as well as War Lines. War Lines being used to counter cavalry quite effectively so far. Looks like Silver Helms have pinned in these boys as well, but there's a chance for a sandwich here. If the Empire Knights do come crashing into this flank, they can certainly do some decent work. Although it looks like Swordsmen are also trying to wrap around the side and hop on top of the Sisters, but they may have given up chasing, actually going to be dragged into the fight with the Rangers. As Karl Franz is once again peppered by the Sisters of Avalon, taking massive damage here, but he is going to be darting in. It looks like we do have a second decoy as well by Alith and Anar, which has been popped up. And Alith is going to continue to fire into Karl Franz, which is a good idea here, basically. Are we going to see a fireball coming into him? Yes, we are, and this time it misses and nearly hits Alith and Anar here. And it looks like Franz is actually going after the Alith and Anar decoy here, so the decoy gambit is working. Franz is kind of wasting his time after Alith. It looks like the other one has actually only just been revealed, and quite quickly Franz is going to put that tail between his legs and start to retreat, realising that he did get duped there. Shadow Warriors are in relative safety in the back here, forcing off the Outriders, but Empire are just absolutely everywhere, done a fantastic job so far of swarming the enemy. Looks like the war lines are now darting back as fast as possible towards this Jade Wizard, but they've taken a huge amount of damage as well from the Outriders. And this Jade Wizard has served its purpose here, getting Karl Franz back to a relative healthiness here. War lines in the front line have been used to help clear up the swordsmen. There is quite a decent amount of Rangers and Spearmen left active. The Sisters need to kind of actually move into the front now and kind of rotate where they originally started. It looks like Shadow Warriors are going to be able to support them as well. In the back line, Empire Knights are overrunning Shadow Warriors, and they're certainly, not the worst combatants in the world at all, trained by Alith and Anar himself, but they're going to certainly not have the AP to get through that thick armour of the Empire Knights. However, the Noble is here in support, so perhaps it isn't the worst trade in the world. Yet another fireball goes down, once again aiming for Karl Franz, who popped back to deal with some Spearmen who are kind of being a bit pesky. And wanting to protect that Jade Wizard at all costs, as another Earthblood does come down, and Franz actually getting relatively close to his healing cap, which if that does happen, he's probably had quite a good day, getting his snout bloody and tearing up some fools. War lines are popping in now, once again being used to push back the Empire Knights and save the Sisters, which is pretty key as they are his best answer here to Karl Franz. Of course, Alith Anar isn't going to be the type of guy to go toe-to-toe with such a majestic beast. Over in the distance, we have a ton of Empire forces which are being forced back here, but it looks like the war lines and the majority of the mobility for the High Elf forces have been dealt with. We have one unit kind of been rather over kind of stretched. It can't bounce to all these different locations, and that means all these Empire forces are going to rally and come back and be a threat in the late game, which is a little bit of a problem here, as the High Elves do seem to be running a tiny bit out of steam, but so do the Empire. Empire Knights are taking huge amounts of damage now. Sisters have switched their priority targets to them, but we still have a relatively healthy Silver Bullets with a ton of ammunition, and they are beeline for those Sisters, tearing them apart with deadly accuracy, and Silver is going through soft, puffy flesh, which isn't a good time for the Sisters at all. Over on the other side, Outriders looks like are going to be used in combat here to try and do a little bit of shock damage to these Rangers. Rangers, of course, not bracing there, don't have their shields and spears like the normal High Elves, so instead go for glorious hand-to-hand combat. But the Outriders aren't going to give it to them. War lines are pushed in as well to kind of get them away. It looks like Empire Knight's taking a huge amount of damage, and the Noble is managed to clatter them as well, doing some pretty decent damage. Silver Bullets have just about finished off the Sisters, and Franz is coming for that mage booty and nearly killing her as well, but has turned his sights to Alith Anar instead. Perhaps getting a little bit greedy here, popping it over where there is some spearmen nearby, and the Noble can help chase him down as well. But he's relatively safe with all his buffs, and I believe he got one last heal off as well there. Outriders pretty much spent at this point, and we do see another decoy being used by Alith Anar, and he's going to be darting towards those Silver Bullets, going to try and tie them up in combat so they can't shoot as effectively. And it looks like a lot of the Empire forces are kind of running for the hills here. We still have the main hero core and kind of dotted little elements of troops all around, but it looks like High Elves maybe are in the ascendancy here. But the one problem is the Franz Meister himself going after Alith Anar, who is going toe-to-toe at the moment with Jade Wizard. Looks like the rather rude Franz is going to be trying to get in the way here of such a glorious combat. Empire Knights as well darting in to save their lord. Another fireball. I've lost count of that we've had, but this one actually connects, which is I'm sure that mage will be singing happy tunes tonight. It does some pretty decent damage to Karl Franz overall, but Alith Anar has taken an absolute hammering at this point, and we see another Earthblood go down. Silver Bullets did manage to deal here with the decoyed Alith Anar, but some Silver Helms in the late game here have popped back, going to be shutting down these guys. Only 13 Silver Helms left, but they are chevroned up, and they should be able to do a decent job running over the Silver Bullets, but they won't be able to clear them out before the Spearmen do arrive to save them here. Alith was terrified a little bit there, but he's regained his composure, popping slippery and darting in a really funny way actually. He's kind of hunched over, and there's going to be a darting away from Franz as quickly as possible, trying to drag him through his troops, and in come the War Lions, going to pin him in, and with their decent AP they can perhaps drag him down. They are stammering him here, but it looks like he's going to just about manage to escape once more. Probably turn these war lines around and pin in the Jade Wizard at this point, trying to finish them off, although the Silver Bullets are once again back and active, so High Elves look to be pushing to try and get on top of those guys, but Franz has turned to stand his ground here, but oh no, it looks like it was a bit of a feint, as he did realise the Empire Knights can come in instead to pin in the High Elves, allow the Silver Bullets to escape and do some more damage in the late game. Alith once again is going to be under assault from the mighty Franz Meister. He does dance around his feet and try to get back to his bros, but he's very low on health now and does indeed start to break, which could be a huge problem, as tear rout's a really viable option for Empire to win this. The Jade Wizard has also routed, though, surrounded by those vicious war lines who are now pouncing on Franz themselves, and maybe they can carry. They've been absolute monsters this game. However, there's nothing currently pressuring the Silver Bullets, which are doing good, consistent damage just over time to all of these troops. Looks like Shadow Warriors are trying to get in there now and push them back, and they certainly will be able to, but the war lines are terrified away, and without them, there's nothing in this group of Elves which is going to be able to stand up to Franz. They should be able to rally here, and it looks like they are actually routing now and not just terrified. And just like that, it looks like the Empire are going to snatch victory there in a very hotly contested game that was really back and forth for different moments. The keeping this Jade Wizard alive was hugely key for the Empire here, as Karl Franz did use his entire healing cap and was a bit of a monster, coming with 65 kills as well as some character assassination. But as soon as Alith and Anar does indeed leave the field here, I can't see any way back for the High Elves, and it looks like Army Losses is just about to set in. But what a fantastic game. Well played to both of these competitors. A very valiant defeat indeed. And a massive shout out to Consul of Rome for sending this one in via my Discord. He's been a long time supporter of the channel since before I had kind of like 50 subs. And it's not every day as well people, you know, are kind of willing to send in losses and stuff. So it's always good just to mix up a little bit in a nice, exciting game. Overall, I of course did love his build. I'm a massive fan of Alith and Anar, one of my favourite characters in lore, and he certainly did some good work, taking the Hellstorm rocket battery offline, or at least helping to take it offline with the help of the war lines. Certainly did some good work, and put pressure on top of the characters as well. And the main kind of thing of this build, which I think worked very well, was the unit of war lines, which got 95 kills. Yes, the other one did get a chevron and kind of finish off the Hellstorm rocket battery, but at that point it only had one artillery piece. I think beelining for that wizard a little bit earlier would have either forced Karl Franz to fall back, where he couldn't do so much damage to protect the mage, or you know, take the mage offline, and without that mage there's no way the Empire could win. But really fun Empire build as well. Silver bullets are always good to keep as a little sneaky reserve there to kind of pop out and bamboozle your enemy. A stalked handgun unit is always very good. And yeah, awesome stuff. Karl Franz pitting the game on his back, as he often does for the forces of the Empire. And guys, I hope you did enjoy. If you did, feel free to give the video a big old thumbs up and subscribe for more glorious Total War Warhammer content. Until next time guys, peace, and as always, stay awesome.